Hello, this is just a short video to cover the main functions of raw image editor, particularly in using it to turn digital infrared images into aerochrome images. I've got a 550 nanometer image here taken with a Hoya O, and it's open here. You can see it's very green. So first thing we want to do is come up to these values, these three, which cover the infrared contamination. Infrared doesn't go into any one channel on a converted camera, it goes into all of them in varying amounts, and so we can use these to correct out that contamination so that we get the look that we're after. Obviously we want a lot of red here, so we're going to increase this value here. I know from previous times editing these photos, Hoya files need a lot of correction in the red because the very near infrared, 700 nanometers to maybe 750, 760, a lot of that goes into the red channel of your camera. That's in fact why you have hot mirrors in your cameras anyway, is to just deal with all that infrared, because silicon's incredibly sensitive to it. So we fixed the reds in the trees a little bit, but the image is still very green, and that's where these RGB sensitivity values come in. These are pre-swap. What that means is these three values, this is red, this is green, and this is blue, but they will affect different colours. So because this is aerochrome, this red will affect the greens, this green will affect the blues, and this blue will affect the red. So if I were to turn this blue up, we get more red out of the image. If I turn this green up, the image goes bluer. If I turn this red down, we'd lose some of that green, and we get a more magenta cast. Obviously when the image is tinted green to start with, that just kind of gives you a more natural, neutral look. We have color temperature here, which works as you would expect it to. Try and just fiddle around with it to get the values that you want and the look that you want, because as you can see, as I turn it down, it does start blowing things out. So still a little bit green in the sky, so we can stand to turn that down just a little bit more. You can double click these and input your own values in directly as well if you want to do it that way. But that's looking pretty good to me. You then have your sort of more usual balancing tools here. Exposure, contrast, lightness is kind of just a brightness that seems to affect the whole image. And then saturation, you do not need much saturation. This, if you do this, it will very, very quickly start blowing colours out. This is on a scale of 100, and yeah, you really, I don't think you need to be going past 3, to be honest. And that's pretty much it. You can then just save here. You can either save for editing or save just to export as it is. Obviously this is not what I would call a finished image yet. It's just done the swap, and it's done the swap in such a way that when you look here, you don't see fringing, which is the major issue with Photoshop and Lightroom based solutions. You get this fringing where the colour, particularly on blue skies, where the colour of the red and the blue swapping, you end with a sort of white or cyan glow. That's not present here. There is chromatic aberration, but that's a fault of my setup and not the software. So you can see just sort of artifacts, yeah, particularly here, sort of a cyan line, but again, that can be fixed in other programs. But yeah, if we just pan around the image, you can see there is a variation. We can differentiate different colors, and when we take this into another program, we can edit even further again. So this tree is visually distinct from this tree, which is quite hard to get. through methods that aren't this way.